Good evening and welcome to the Gathering Quiz Night. It's May already. Last one was in when was the last one? March. And now it's May. Isn't that wonderful? Well, good evening and welcome to you. You'll have to tell me if I'm loud enough. I'm in the corner of my office this evening, as you can see. And I look intelligent because I have books. Right, a few things to go through. Make sure you've got someone in your team who's got a copy of the online answer form. If you don't have that, now is the time to say in the chat, and I can get that sent to you. Make sure you choose a good team name, because remember, I give a bonus point to the team with the best team name. What else have I got on my list? La 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 la. Yes. Don't cheat. That's important. Oh yeah, and say hi in the chat, and I'll give you a shout out. We've got some here already. So hello, Grace Church. Route 66, Chippenham have joined us. Hello again. Ignite from Calm Free. Boogie Team are here. Oh dear. Please don't make me. Oh, very good. Well, I'll keep saying hi. And then, is this working? What's happening? I'm getting warnings flashing up about something. I don't know what they mean. Let me just hope that that's working okay. Is it working okay? Are we doing all right? Someone say something. A bit quiet. Cool, that's helpful. I'll turn myself up a bit. Hi from the whole of Headley Park Church's youth. Hello, Headley Park Church's youth. St George's Wemden are here. Brilliant. That's what I like to hear. Oh dear. Sounds and looks good. Thanks, Matt. Why do I say these things? Right, and I'll say it again. Make sure you've got a copy of the answer form. You should have had a link. If you don't have that link, let me know, and I'll get it sent to you. Good team name. Don't cheat. Get a Bible handy for later, for during the talk. That could be helpful, actually. If you grab a Bible, now's the time to do it. And say hi in the chat. And I'll give you a little shout out. Let's see. Trowbridge YF have joined us. You're very welcome. Lovely to have you here. We'll give it a couple of minutes until I'm convinced that everyone's here, and then we'll start quizzing. What's going on? La 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 la. Ah. Corsham Baptist Church are here. Hello, Corsham Baptist. Lovely to have you with us again. Now, I'm not seeing anything from my lot yet. From Bradley Stoke. So from someone from Bradley Stoke, if you can let me know if you're here. Not seeing anything from Kensington yet either. But they're normally late. They're like always late. They missed the first question. Well, we got a humdinger for you this evening. Some good questions. We've got an interview from some of the guys at Headley Park. And then James from Kensington, James Morrison from Kensington, has kindly recorded a talk for us, which is very exciting. I'm going to give it 2 more minutes, and then we shall begin. What's my name? Oh, have I not said my name? I'm Aaron. Hi. I work for Bradley Stoke Evangelical Church. There you go. Oh, we'll give it 1 more minute. Because our views... There's some sort of graph that I don't understand on my screen. It's going up, so I assume it's a good thing. 30 seconds, and then I'm just going to have to crack on with the quiz. Otherwise, we'll run over time. And I don't want to run over time. Who's here? Is everyone here? I think we might just have to crack on with it. Oh, hi from North Bradley Baptist Church. Hello, North Bradley Baptist Church. How are you? Okay, I think we're just going to start. And if anyone's late, we did say 7:30 start, and I've given you 5 minutes. All right, here we go. We're going to move on to straight on to round one. Round one this time, and this corresponding round one on your answer form. Yeah, and if you don't have your answer form, let me know. But round one is one blurry shot. There's I think it's a Twitter account or maybe an Instagram account called One Perfect Shot, right? And they take a perfect shot from a film and then they write about it, right? I quite like it. So I thought I'd do one blurry shot. And in this round, I will show you a very zoomed in, blurry picture from an animated film, okay? I thought it'd be easier to an animated film than a non-animated film. So you'll see a shot from an animated film, and you need to tell me what film it's from. Now, if this film has sequels, okay, you need to give me the correct one, or I'll only give you half a point, all right? So if you get the right franchise, you get half a point, but you need to get the right number as well. Does that make sense? We'll crack on then. Here we go. Round one, question one. What's the name of the film? I think that one's quite easy, so we're going to move it on quite quickly from that. Here is question two. What film is it from? I think that one's easy as well, but I did write the quiz. All right, question three. What film is it from? Okay. And remember, if you get the right franchise, it's 1 point. If it's a sequel, then you only get half a point if you get the wrong number. That didn't make sense. Here's question four. Hello, Scoobed? S Cubed? I don't know. From Grace Church, Bath. Lovely to have you with us. Here is question five. What film is it from? Okay. Question 6. What film is it from? Alrighty. Question number 7. What film is it from? Question number 8. What's the name of the film? Get the number right, if it's got a number. Getting some trash talk, it seems. It's very easy. Well, here's question 9, and I will admit, that's quite easy. That's more than enough time for that one. Last question of round 1, and I am luring you in with a false sense of security. There's some trickier questions. But here you are. Question 10. What film is it from? Alright, and that's enough time. And that's round 1. Done already. I think quite an easy round. I agree. Don't worry, it'll get harder. Someone asked, when's the next gathering? The next gathering will be, God willing, not online, but in person. On the 17th of July. But, details to be confirmed. I'm being asked if I can do a dance. I'm being complimented on my fresh trim. Love it. Well, we're going to move on to round 2 for now. Round 2 is the kind of round we've done before. It's the links round. So there'll be 4 questions, just normal questions. And then the 5th question will be, what links the previous 4 answers? Okay, so while you're answering the questions, if you don't know an answer, it's worth writing the question down so you might be able to get an idea of what the link is. Sound all right? This will be the next sort of section on your answer form for your person who's doing that. All right, here we go. It's time for round 2. Question 1. Fill in the blank. Up where the smoke is all billowed and curled, tween pavement and stars is the blank sweep world. Fill in the blank. That's not too hard either. At least I hope it isn't. Well, I kind of do. Alright, question number 2. Photovoltaic cells are used in what kind of renewable energy generator? Photovoltaic cells are used in what kind of renewable energy generator? I'll give you about 30 seconds for this one. Alrighty, question 3. What is the name of the first female Prime Minister of the United Kingdom? The name of the first female Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Alright. Question 4. A Rummikub set has 106 playing pieces. These playing pieces are called what? What's the name of the playing pieces used in Rummikub? And you should already know what question 5 is, because question 5 is what links the previous 4 answers. I'll give you a little bit longer on this one. I'll give you a minute. There you are. And before you know it, we're 2 rounds down already. Not too hard so far. That's the end of round 2. And as normal, after round 2, we're going to have our interview intermission, which this time has been recorded for us from some of the guys at Headley Park Church. The theme for this gathering and for the next gathering, the in-person one, or possibly in-person one, God willing, is lockdown. How now should we live? And James is going to be doing the talk later. But first of all, we've got this fantastic interview that's been recorded for us. So I'll hand you over to the guys from Headley Park.
Hello everyone from The Gathering, we're here from Headley Park Church. I'm Isaac, I'm running this because our youth leader is currently on sabbatical. I'm joined by Oscar and Joel. And tonight we're going to be thinking about the view we have of God's mercy, but also when we think about counting the cost of following Christ. So with that in mind, Oscar, are you okay to kick us off? Just introduce yourself and tell us what is the most picturesque view you've ever seen.
Yeah, hi, my name's Oscar. I'm 15 from Bristol. And the best view that I've ever seen was when I went behind a waterfall whilst on a walk.
That's cool. Joel, would you like to introduce yourself and just tell us what the most picturesque view you've seen is?
Oh, hi, I'm Joel. I'm 14. I'm from Bristol, and the most picturesque view I've ever seen is probably the Amalfi Coast in Italy.
That's really cool. And Joel, we'll go to you for this one first. What does it look like to follow Jesus in one or two areas of your life?
For me, what it looks like to follow Jesus is that I give up my time in certain areas to do things like going to church and helping out with the youth work at the church instead of potentially going to things like football games and watching sports on the television and things like that.
Yeah, that's really helpful. Thank you. And Oscar, what about for you? What does it look like to follow Jesus in different areas of your life?
Yeah, so at school, like the conversations I have with people with one area. So quite often, like I can find it hard to talk to people about Jesus. You know, I'd rather just do my own thing or go and play football, get on my work, things like that. But yeah, so trying to have conversations with others about Jesus, one area, and also I'm quite into music, so I often like share, you know, songs or videos or whatever with people on WhatsApp about stuff, and yeah, just ask them what they think of it and things like that.
Yeah, thank you both for sharing on that. But we all know it's not easy always making those decisions. So we're just going to be talking tonight about counting the cost of following Jesus. So Joel, what's hard about following Jesus in the ways you use your time?
One thing that I find quite difficult is in spending my time is that making sure that I'm prioritizing God, which I don't always do, or no one does 100% of the time, but it's just making sure that I'm not prioritizing these other things more than I'm prioritizing God, and so I'm making sure that I'm spending my time in the correct ways, which I don't always do.
Yeah, you're right. None of us is perfect in that, but it's a real challenge trying to figure out how we should prioritize our time. Oscar, what about for you? What's hard about following Jesus in the different areas you mentioned with friends, with just the time you use in school? What's difficult about following Jesus in that?
Yeah, so school's got a pretty big anti-God atmosphere. You know, everyone's just living for themselves and kind of doing their own thing, and it can quite often, you know, you stick out a bit for not doing that. So, you know, people try and get you to do things that you know are wrong, and you kind of have to resist that. Also, I sometimes send things through to people, like a Christian song or something. I just, you know, I ask them what they think, and I just get nothing back. So, you know, that can be a bit demoralizing sometimes, and always saying those instant results that you're kind of hoping for.
Yeah, silence can be particularly crushing, I think. So, Oscar, what difference does God's grace in Jesus make in those times where there's pushback? How does God's grace really help you?
Yeah, so it just means that I'm not living for popularity, you know. I'm living for Jesus, and I can, you know, focus on my eternal reward in heaven, even if I'm not receiving on earth in the way that I'd like. And it's also that it's more important for me to show my friends Jesus and tell them about the gospel than it is for them to think how cool I am, you know. And so every time I share the gospel with them, that's another opportunity for, you know, them to have their own salvation. And yeah, that's quite a big thing for me to focus on. And yeah, that's what I kind of for sure when I'm having those conversations in school.
Yeah, realizing that each person's salvation is at stake is really important. How about for you, Joe? How does God's grace help you to follow Jesus?
God's grace helps me to follow Jesus in that. It just helps me to sort of look at the bigger picture. In that, as much as we like to do these things now, and as much as we want things quickly and as soon as possible, we can't always have that, and we've got to sort of look further, and that helps me in those areas.
Yeah, that we have treasure in heaven is really important. That actually we have that bigger eternal pictures come up from both of you tonight, and that is really, really important. Thank you both for joining me very much. I look forward to seeing you on Friday night. Yeah, and that is all from us. So I'll see you guys on Friday night. Bye for now.
See ya.
Some brilliant stuff there. Some really, really brilliant stuff. And I would say a really big thank you to everyone who's done an interview so far, and especially to you boys tonight. Really, really helpful. I think some stuff there that I want to take away and think about. Some interesting things, the way you brought out the eternal perspective and how that helps us live for Jesus. I like the idea of sharing songs, and especially Christian songs, with your friends. I think that's brilliant. So great stuff. Thank you so much to the guys at Headley Park Church for recording that for us. Well, we're going to have the talk later on from James from Kensington, but before we get there, we've got 3 more rounds of quizzing to get done, and it's going to get a little bit harder. So here we go. It's time to round 3, which is the poorly described animals round. Now, in this round, I will give you a poor description of an animal, a stupid description of an animal, and you need to tell me what the animal is. All right? It should make sense if it doesn't yet. So here you go. Question 1 of round 3. Rats of the sky that live on the beach. What animal am I poorly describing? All right, that's question 1. Here's question 2. Swimming excess bread disposal. Swimming excess bread disposal. What animal am I describing? Okay. Next one's easy. Question 3. An ex-caterpillar. What animal am I describing? An ex-caterpillar. Question 4. A tall vegan. What animal am I poorly describing? All right, we've got a little sequence coming up now. Here you go. Question 5. A fat unicorn. What animal am I describing? A fat unicorn. Question 6. A swimming unicorn. What animal am I describing? All right, question 7. A hornless unicorn. And question number 8. Nando's without sauce. I think that one's quite easy. Question 9. Picnic spoiler. What animal am I poorly describing? If you're not watching the YouTube chat, it's quite funny, some of it. Why should you not trust atoms? Because they make up everything. Very funny. Last question of round 3. I remember when these only cost 10 pence. What animal am I poorly describing? Alrighty, and that's all of round 3. Oh, there we go, end of round 3. What am I doing now? Well, I guess round 4 is the next thing. So it'll be the next page on your answer form. If you want to send me jokes in the chat, you're very welcome to. And if I think they're good enough, I might read them out. But, no points for that. Round 4. Here we go. Flag or fake? See, I've been having some fun recently. I've been playing around on PowerPoint and I've been making flags because I'm a loser. And you need to tell me in this round whether it's a real flag or whether it's a fake flag. And if it is a real flag, then you also need to tell me what country it's from, okay? Now, if you tell me it's a real flag, you get half, and you're correct, you get half a point. But to get the full point, you also need to tell me what country that flag is from, okay? So if it's a fake flag, just say fake. If it's a real flag, say the country it's from. If you say fake and a country, I won't give you any marks at all. That clear? All right. So here we go. It's time for round 4, flag or fake. And here is flag number 1. And just to remind you, if you think it's real, you need to tell me the country. If you think it's fake, just say fake. But if you say fake and put a country, you'll get no points. 10 more seconds, and then we'll have the next one. Alrighty, question number 2. Is it a flag or is it a fake? Alright, question number 3. Is it a real flag? Is it a fake flag? You tell me. Okay, question number 4 of round 4. Is it a real flag? Is it a fake flag? If it's a real flag, what country is it from? If it's a fake flag, don't tell me a country. All the rules. Alrighty, and then the last question for this round, because there's only 5 questions in this round. Is it a real flag? Is it a fake flag? If it's real, what's the country? If it's not real, don't put a country. I did draw the real flags and the fake flags. So they're as close as I could get them on PowerPoint, which someone asked in the chat. Alright, and that's all of the questions in round 4. Which leaves us on to the final round. And the final round, round 5, we're back to an old favourite. It's the A to Z round. Hooray! In this round, if the first question begins with the answer to the first question begins with the letter A, then the answer to the second question will begin with the letter B. And then the answer to the third question will begin with the letter C, and so on. Okay, we go through the alphabet. If an answer begins with the letter Z, then the next answer will begin with the letter A. We wrap around the alphabet. Cool? So it's a good idea to write down the questions because you might be able to go back and figure out a question that you don't know once you figure out where in the alphabet we are. Does that make sense? I hope it does. We've done it enough before, so here we go. The final round, round 5, question 1. Who was the first woman to be awarded a Nobel Prize? Who was the first woman to be awarded a Nobel Prize? Alrighty, question number 2. Where are the headquarters of the United Nations? Where are the headquarters of the United Nations? Ollie in the chat said that the headquarters of the United Nations are in Co-op, and that is a joke that works on many levels. So, round of applause there. Very good. Question number 3 of round 5. What is the name of the device that shows how far a vehicle has travelled? What is the name of the device that shows how far a vehicle has travelled? Okay, question 4. Other than the echidna, what is the name of the only other mammal that lays eggs? Other than the echidna, what is the name of the only other mammal that lays eggs? All right, bit of a harder one that. Question 5. What is the name of a type of flute from the Andean region, or the Andean region of South America? The name of a type of flute from the Andean region of South America. All right, enough time on that one. Question number 6. What is the name of the fairy tale character famous for her long hair? What is the name of the fairy tale character famous for her long hair? Okay. Oh, and question number 7. What goes up and down but never moves? What goes up and down but never moves? Okay, question number 8. What is Sokotoa used for? What is Sokotoa used for? Alrighty, question number 9. A bumbershoot is another name for what common, very British, folding device? A bumbershoot is another name for what common, very British, folding device? And the final question, and yes, I do like the jokes in the chat. They're very funny. Hubert Cecil Booth invented what useful device? 2 devices in a row. Hubert Cecil Booth invented what useful device? All right, and that is the final question of the quiz. So that's the end of round 5, which means it's time for us to do the talk. Now, before I start the talk and start the video playing, now is the time to submit your forms. I can see some of you have already done that, but if you could press the submit button now, that would be great. Because I've got to get on and mark all of these. I'm liking some of these names. There's one very good name. Wait for a few more to come in. I'm not 100% sure how many to expect. And I should explain, once the talk, which James from Kensington Baptist Church has recorded for us, once that's finished, on the screen will pop up some discussion questions, and there'll be a timer in the bottom right-hand corner, a 10-minute timer. When that finishes, at that point, I'll do the answers, and we'll do the results, okay? We'll go straight from the talk into the discussion. Let me just see how many I've had submitted. Yes. Cool. All right, okay. In which case, now it's time for all me to do is to hand over to James. Thank you very much, James.
Let me ask you, what's the best view you've ever seen. Maybe you've been up somewhere like Cabot Tower in Brandon Hill Park, right in the centre of Bristol. And as you get to the top of a tower like that, you can look out over a whole city. Below you are people and roads and buildings, hundreds, thousands of them. It's amazing. Perhaps you've been up a mountain like you find in the Brecon Beacons, just over the bridge into Wales. And after you've slogged up a mountain like Sugarloaf or Pen y Fan, you get to the top and it just takes your breath away. Because as far as you can see are hills and rivers and valleys. It's awesome. Or perhaps you've been up in an aeroplane. If you've been up in an aeroplane, I'm sure you'll never forget it. You get that roar of the engine and the lurch forward as the plane starts going up the runway. And as the wheels start leaving the edge of the runway, you get that kind of strange dip in your stomach and you start ascending. And before you know it, you look out the window and you're thousands of meters up already. Never mind valleys and rivers and mountains. Now you can see whole towns, whole cities, whole counties. And as you keep climbing, well, it's not long before you break through the clouds. And the view, it's magic. As far as your eye can see is a fluffy white carpet of clouds and the unblemished sunlight shining down on it. What's the best view you've ever seen? Well, over the last year, we haven't been able to see lots of our favourite views, have we? Because places like Cabot Tower have been shut. The borders into Wales have been closed. Aeroplanes have been grounded. But the big thing I want to say to you this evening is this. There's one view that hasn't changed. There's one view that hasn't changed. And it's a view even better than looking out of an aeroplane window. Let me read you this verse from the Bible. Romans chapter 12, verse 1. Therefore I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. This verse comes from Paul's letter to the church in Rome, the book of Romans. And do you see the view that Paul's talking about? Therefore, I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy. For the first 11 chapters in this letter, Paul has been describing this amazing view of God's mercy to us in Jesus. In chapters 1, 2, and the beginning of chapter 3, Paul describes how, although God made us, and although God introduced himself to us, we have all rejected him. We've all given up knowing God and traded like the strongest feelings of our hearts for the things he's made. It might be a new phone, a new relationship. It might be going out and getting drunk with our mates. In fact, even if we're not into those things, it might be the moral superiority we feel of looking down onto people who are into those things. We've all traded God in, Paul says. Last year, a friend of ours told us about a time when they went out for a coffee with their 2 adult children. This person is a bit old and is getting on, and their adult children took them out for coffee, and after they'd caught up about the latest news and things like that, well, this person noticed that the conversation, it changed direction. After they finished catching up on news, these 2 adult children started asking quite a lot of questions about their parents' money. How much money do you have, Mum? What would you reckon the house is worth? And it started to dawn on this lady that her children seemed to care less about her than the money they would inherit from her. It's horrible, isn't it? But that's a little bit like what Paul says we've done to God. We've all turned away from him. We've all traded him in. But then at the end of chapter 3, on into chapter 4, 5, 6, 7, really on to the end of chapter 11, Paul then starts painting this amazing view of God's grace to us in Jesus. Like we have all sinned and fallen short of the glory of God, Paul writes. We have all received grace from God through the redemption which God has brought to us in Christ. In Christ, we have received God's forgiveness. In Christ, we have peace with God. In Christ, we have real hope of change. Although we might have tried to trade God in, Paul says it's actually God who's brought us back. And he's brought us back with the blood of his Son. In chapters 1 to 11 of Romans, Paul paints this amazing picture of God's mercy to us in Christ. And like the best views in life, Paul expects that to change us. I don't know if you've noticed that about amazing views. Like, if you ever go up the top of a tower and look out of a whole city, like, if you really take it in, well, it sticks with you, right? If you go up to the top of a mountain, it really kind of widens your perspective on the world. In fact, there are some views which are so amazing that sometimes, just sometimes, they actually have the very power to change you. It's an amazing experience if you've ever had it. And Paul says, in view of God's mercy, it should cause you to change. Change. People are talking a lot about change at the moment, aren't they? As we come out of lockdown, people are talking about, like, what's the new normal going to be? Like, in years to come, what's school going to look like? Like, what's workplaces going to look like? What's the buses going to look like? And maybe, like, all of this talk of change has, like, actually started rubbing off on you a bit. Maybe you're thinking, if we're kind of move into this new phase of life, I'm quite up for some change. Maybe you want to turn over a new slate, start a new chapter. Well, Paul tells us that the best change that we can make as we come out of lockdown is to start living like this. To offer our bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. Now, as you sit there this evening, you might be thinking, well, that sounds a bit radical. In fact, as I think about it, that actually sounds quite painful. Sacrifice? Who on earth is going to want to do that? After all, everybody these days is saying that if you want to be happy, if you want to be fulfilled, just do whatever makes you feel good. If you want to live the best life you can live, don't worry about what other people think. Just do what you want to do. But there's just a little problem with that way of thinking about things. It's wrong. It's just not true. You want to know why? Because it doesn't actually work. I don't know if you've ever noticed that. Think about it. If the best way to live your life is just to do whatever you feel is best, and that's what everybody's trying to do these days. Well, as you look around the world, as you look at the people you know, what would you expect to see? Well, you'd expect to see people full of happiness and fulfillment, right? No real problems. But you know what? That's not what I see. As I think about my family, my friends, people in my local community, well, what I see is anxiety. In fact, last year, a big study came out that said that people under the age of 17, a third of them have experienced anxiety in the last few years. Can you believe that? 1/3 of people under the age of 17 have experienced anxiety, and that's higher than it's ever been before. And it's not just anxiety. I think actually quite a lot of people are lonely. Do you ever think that? In that same study, actually it said that teenagers actually feel really disconnected at the moment from their local communities, where they live, where they spend so much of their time. And again, it's quite a new thing. And as well as anxiety and feeling lonely, I think just quite a lot of people are unhappy. This was the saddest thing I read this week. Do you know how many young people have tried to harm themselves? What would your guess be? Just think about that in your head. Well, it's 25%. Can you believe that? 1 in 4 people by the age of 17 will have tried to harm themselves. That means if you're in a school class of 30, that's somewhere between 7 and 8 people trying to harm themselves before they've even got to year 12. There are a whole load of reasons for those statistics. But clearly, like just living your life to do whatever makes you feel good, it's just not working. So as we come to the end of our time, shall we listen to what Paul has to say again? Therefore, I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. When Paul talks about offering your bodies as a living sacrifice, he's using the language of the Old Testament. He's using the language of the sacrificial system that they had in the Old Testament with the tabernacle and the temple and the priests and things like that. And there were different sacrifices for different circumstances. So, for example, there was something called a sin offering. This was when you would bring an animal sacrifice that the priest would sacrifice on the altar of the tabernacle and then the temple. And they would do it in recognition of God's judgment for your sin. Now, clearly, Paul doesn't have that in mind here, does he? Because for the first 11 chapters, Paul's been painting this amazing picture, this amazing view of God's mercy for us in Jesus, fully and finally taking the punishment for our sin. So what does Paul have in mind? Well, he probably has in mind something called a whole burnt offering. That this was a type of sacrifice that you didn't bring to receive God's forgiveness. It was a kind of offering that you actually brought in response to what God had done for you. You brought the whole animal. It was like your best animal. And it was to recognize that everything you have comes from God. And actually, ultimately speaking, everything you have is God's. And that's what Paul has in mind when he calls us to offer our bodies as a living sacrifice. Paul's saying that the best way to live your life is not just to do what feels good to you inside. But the best way to live your life is to offer it to God. I'll say that again. The best way to live your life is not just to do whatever feels best. No, it's to live your life as an offering to God. And it's worth saying that dedicating your life to God like this, it isn't actually about giving up stuff. I know we might often think like that, but it's not. We might have this idea that kind of being a living sacrifice to God with, say, I don't know, who we hang out with, means that we can't just, we just got to make sure we hang out with, not with the wrong people. But actually, being a living sacrifice to God might mean going to a particular party because you want to love people, build relationships with people, but you say to yourself, yeah, I'm just not going to get drunk. Or take our money, for example. We might have this idea that being kind of a living sacrifice means that, we can never have nice things. But actually offering our lives to God means that it might be really good to spend our birthday money on an instant camera because that's actually going to be a really nice thing to share with our family and our friends. And what about sex? We might have this idea that offering your life to God means just not having sex unless you get married. But the reason why that is important is because sex between a man and a woman who have committed their whole lives to each other, that's actually just a really great thing. We might think living for God means giving up stuff. Actually, it means digging deeper, getting better. It actually means flourishing. As we come to the end of our time, I want you to think back to that view that you had in your mind at the beginning. Well, what's the best view you've ever seen? I want you to imagine that you're looking at that view, wherever it is, up a tower, up a mountain, out of an aeroplane window. And there's a person next to you, and you say, hey, just look at that. And they look at it for a few seconds, and they say, oh, yeah, very nice. And then they just go back doing to whatever normal thing they're doing. Well, that'd be crazy, wouldn't it? And that's what Paul wants us to not do as we come out of lockdown. In view of God's mercy, offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to him.
Alrighty. That is time on discussions. I'll give you just a moment to round off. Okay. Oh, I just got to close the thing. There we go. Right, it's time for some of the answers. Here we go. How did you get on? Oh, I pressed the wrong button. Oh, it's this button. It changes. Round 1. Here we go. Here are the blurry shots. This is a shot from Toy Story 3. The pink foot there is of course Lotso, the evil cuddly bear. That's from Up, from the start, the very sad bit. That's the guacamole Dorito hat from Despicable Me 2. This is the door scene from Monsters, Inc. This is from Ratatouille, where he gets hit by lightning. Frozen 2. What a great film. Not as good as Frozen 1, though. Tangled. Shrek. First one. Lego Movie. Spaceship. First one again. And Kung Fu Panda, and it's the first one. The secret ingredient. It's, of course, himself. Oh. Round 2, the links round. Question 1, it was chimney. Question 2 was solar panels. Question 3 was Margaret Thatcher. Question 4 was tiles. And so question 5, and all of you got this. I think all of you got this. Yes, you all got this. What links the previous 4 answers? They're all things to do with roofs. Well done, everyone. Full marks from everyone on that one. Nearly everyone got full marks on round 3, the poorly described animals round. A rat of the sky that lives on the beach is, of course, a seagull. A swimming excess bread disposal is a duck. An ex-caterpillar is a butterfly, or as one team pointed out, a dead caterpillar. They put butterfly as well, so I gave them the point. A tall vegan is a giraffe. A fat unicorn is a rhino. A swimming unicorn is a narwhal. A hornless unicorn is a horse, or it could be a zebra. Again, someone was thinking they were being clever, but they put a horse as well, so they got the point. Nando's without sauce is chicken. Picnic spoiler is wasp. And I remember when these only cost 10p. Freddo, it's a frog. There you go. Round 4. A few teams got full marks on this one, which I was very impressed by, but not many, only 3. This is a real flag. That's the flag of North Macedonia. Now, if you put Macedonia, I have given you the mark, because it only got renamed North Macedonia like a couple of years ago. So, I've given you that. This is a fake flag that I made up. This is, of course, the flag of Greece. This is the flag of Mongolia, or as close as I could get on PowerPoint. It's very close if you look it up. And this is a fake flag that I made. And finally, the A to Z round, which only 3 teams got full marks on. Marie Curie was the first person to be awarded the Nobel Prize. The headquarters of the United Nations is in New York, people. I got all sorts of answers for that one. The name of the device that shows how far a vehicle has travelled is an odometer. Other than the echidna, it's the platypus. I was impressed by how many teams got this one. The type of flute from the Andean region of South America is a cana. Well done if you got that one. Fairy tale character famous for her long hair is Rapunzel. What goes up but never moves? Up and down but never moves? Stairs. Sokotoa is used for trigonometry. A bumbershoot is an umbrella. And Hubert Cecil Booth invented the vacuum cleaner. There you are. So that's all of the questions. And so it's time for the results. We had 11 teams taking part this time, but because there's some ties, in last place, what I'm going to call 9th place, with 33.5 points, which is a very respectable score, was Scubed or S-Cubed. How am I supposed to say that? Can you tell me in the chat? That would be helpful. In 8th place with 34 points, just half a point ahead, was the Doritos. In 7th place were the Pepperoni People with 35 points. In 6th place with 36 points was HPC. which I assume is Headley Park Church. And then in joint 5th place on 36.5 points with Titus's Trident and Nerd Immunity. I gave the bonus point for the team name to Nerd Immunity because I think that's funny. Scoobed has said, Scoobed, I've been informed. So that was 5th place. 4th place, Aaron Superfans. Nice try, but even I'm not vain enough to give you that point. 37 points. And then in 3rd place, with 37.5 points, was the Kensington Cool Kids and Embrace Church. I liked that. That was good. In 2nd place, with 38 points, were Genie Us, which means in 1st place, and this team only dropped 1 point and they missed out on the flag, was the Chicken Maniac. So well done to the Chicken Maniac, whoever you are. What a team name. Congratulations. Kenzo Cool Kids want to contest the North Macedonian flag. The real flag doesn't have thin arrays. You can contest it as much as you like. You're not getting the point. Cool. There we are. So well done, everyone. Thank you very much for taking part. I got a thing. Aha. Well done, everyone. Thank you very much for taking part. And the next gathering event, God willing, and some of us, we've got a meeting next week to decide how or when we're going to do this or whether we're going to do this, is potentially the 17th of July, which would be an in-person, real-life, outdoor event. Hopefully the weather will have improved by then. But there you are. That's the next date. If it's not the 17th, it'll be the 16th in the evening. It'll be another quiz night, is the plan. So congratulations, Calm Free Church. There we go. They're the ones who won. Well done, Chicken Maniacs. And, well, all that's left to say is good night and God bless.